that. Good evening, everyone. Uh, this is Beeban'S. I welcome everyone to this computer free computer training. Yeah. This is the beginning of this training. So everything is not perfect now since we are just starting. So we urge everyone to bear with us. Although we are, this is not really a computer school, um, but we want to do this to add value to the community, to also impart uh, some computer knowledge to everyone in the community. So, about this training, let's talk about computer training first. Uh, we want to we offer this computer training to impart computer knowledge to everyone. So that's why we offer this computer training. So, so why do you need to participate in this lesson, and why do you need to invite others? It's because we are going to learn some computer basic and graphic design basics as well. So even though this class does not guarantee that you'll be a professional in these aspects, but at least you have basic knowledge on computer and graphic design, some uh, basic computer knowledge in general. So, like I said earlier, if there is any way we need to improve on our class, we will appreciate if the audience can also let us know, because this is our first time. We don't expect everything to be perfect, completely perfect. So now, what are the benefits we are going to get from this free computer training? At least by the end of this lesson, that will last at least 6 months, we'll be able to use to know, have basic knowledge on your own computer itself, maybe the hardware, the software, and you'll be able to use some of the computer software, famous software like Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and some other graphic design software like Adobe Acrobat, uh, Photoshop, Illustrator, design, and so on. And while getting into this design, you also know like what kind of software does a graphic designer are supposed to be using? How many? Is there any limit to the software a graphic designer uh, has to know? So all these things we are going to cover in this training. So now I'm going to share my screen. Since we are talking about these computer aspects. So now let's start with this. Let me share my screen so that we can kickstart the lesson. So now, what is what is a computer? So let's just see a clear and beautiful definition that we are going to get. Although there is no just a way to define computer, but let's see. Hope you guys are seeing my screen. So a simple definition, an electronic device, for sure, computer is an electronic device. You need power to power on your computer. So now, an electronic device for storing and processing data, typically in binary form according to instruction given to it in a variable program. So pay at ten tion to some of dis information here. Storing and processing data. On your computer, you can store um data, information on your system in a typically in a binary form. So now and you can also process data. You can also give instruction. You can also use your computer to carry out some instruction via any via program, maybe softwares or applications. So now there are two major components of a computer. Computer has two major components. What are the two components of a computer? The two um a computer system consists of two major elements which are hardware and software. So now in today's lesson we are going to discuss about first. Hardware first. So now while we are still going to go into the software aspect, let's talk about the hardware. I personally I I I group the hardware into three parts. The first part is the what is computer hardware? Okay, let's continue. Let's define the hardware part first. Okay, what is computer hardware? We should all know this. We should all know the answer to this question, but for this lesson or for this class, we are still going to define it. Hardware is a part of a computer which you can see and touch. What is hardware? You can see computer hardware is a physical part of a computer that allow it to function. Pay at ten tion to dis word, physical part of a computer. So now let's now categorize the hardware into three. The first is the hardware part, the external and the internal. Hope you can hear me clearly. Let's assume the hardware part, the internal hardware and the external hardware. Now the normal hardware part we are all familiarized with is the monitor, the monitor, the keyboard. So hope you guys are seeing my screen. So the major part of computer hardware we all know is the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse and the CPU. Those are the major parts of computer hardware. So now those three are the parts, the major parts that we all know, we all seen, most especially when we come across a computer. We see the screen, the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse and the CPU. which stand for central processing unit. But take note that out of all dis computer hardware, the most important part is the CPU. CPU is the most important part, as you can see. Why CPU is the most important part of computer hardware? Because because is the one that process the data, because is the one that really we are really operating with. Take for instance, take for instance, when we on our system, we look at, maybe we are watching a video, we want to play video using our system. We are only watching the screen, but the screen is not what is giving us the exact thing we are watching. Is the monitor. You notice that if you unplug the monitor, the CPU, I mean the monitor will still be on, but e may not display anything. But what the CPU is displaying is what monitor is displaying is what e has, what the CPU has inside. That's what the monitor is just displaying. The work of the monitor is just to display. The work of keyboard is just to type, and the work of mouse is just to move the cursor all around. So now now you notice that the mouse cannot work on its own. You have to plug it to the CPU. The keyboard as well cannot work on its own. You have to plug it to the CPU. Neither the monitor can work on its own. You have to plug it to the CPU. So in other words, the CPU is the major part. If the keyboard has issue, you can easily switch, you can easily replace. In fact, you can even bring out a keyboard from the system. So you can easily get another keyboard and replace and start using your continue to use your computer, the CPU. If your monitor is not displaying, or is not displaying properly, you can easily replace it. But once the CPU is not working, the rest are useless. The monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, they are totally, they have no use. Let's say you have all dis thing in in your house and you don't have monitor, e go just be there. But if you have monitor, you can easily get monitor, keyboard, and start doing whatever you want to do. So that's it. So now I categorize the hardware into three. I say the hardware, the internal, and the external. So now let's talk about the external. Let's talk about the external. The external are other computer hardware like printer, Bluetooth device, and then maybe let's see other external device. But take note, printer is among, the Bluetooth device, maybe the one you attach to it, is among. So now these are some of computer external hardware, like the speaker. The speaker You can also attach computer speaker to your computer. Is part of computer hardware but is external. The earphone as well, the flash is part of computer hardware but is external. So you are bringing it from somewhere else and attach it to the system to do whatever you want to do. Few minutes please. Welcome back. So now there are other devices you can also attach to your computer that is external. Is part of computer but is external. So this is also a printer, is external. Router is external. um So those things are part of computer hardware but they are external. So now let's talk about internal. So this internal we in fact we help people a lot. In fact when they want to get their own computer. um So now internal computer hardware. Dis internal computer hardware, let me now look at the computer hardware which is internal. You can see. So we have RAM, we have storage which is drive, hard drive. So we have power supply, graphics card, motherboard, processor. So now let's pay at ten tion. If you have your pen, you can try to jot something down because this will really help you, especially when you want to get a system or a laptop. Maybe you want to get your computer or personal PC, or a laptop. So now those are the things. This internal hardware is what will really help you. So now the first and the most important one is the processor. Because why the processor is the most important? Because other computer hardware can easily be changed or upgrade. You can also downgrade it as well. As for the processor, you can't do that. Once you get a system with a particular processor, that processor is the is permanent. It is not easy to change. So now what are some of the processor? We have Celeron, we have like Pentium. Those are small processor that can, maybe you want to do some minor things with your system, you can easily get those system. So why you want to get a system? Ask for this processor. What is the processor? Is it Celeron or Pentium? So those are just small. I don't recommend getting such processor when you want to get a system. So I recommend getting, don't get anything less than Core i3. It's part of the computer processor. Core i3, Core i5, Core i7, Core i9. So now let me take my system for let me use my system for example to explain more about this computer hardware, the internal hardware. So now let's go to my system. So computer, start button, click on settings. So now go to system, go down about, you will see about your PC monitor all, but you see at least some of the computer specification. So now take a look at the processor. You see the processor. We have Intel Core i7. So my system is Core i7. So this processor is very important. If you want to get a laptop or a system or a computer, please don't get anything less than Core i3. I recommend. That is if you don't have maybe enough money, you can just get Core i3. But if you know that at least you have a good budget, you can go for Core i5, Core i7. But don't get anything less than Core i3, because it will not really it will not be so effective like that. So now that's it about the processor. So another thing that we pay attention to is the RAM. um is the RAM, like what we see here, RAM. So how does RAM looks like? Let me show you how does computer RAM. This is what RAM look like. This is what RAM look like. This is what it look like. This is RAM. So this is how you insert the RAM into your system. Into your system. This is how you insert the RAM into your system. um If you check if you check how many gig of RAM that was installed into my system, it is 8 gig. 8 gig. When you get a system, a laptop, you laptop always come with two slots for RAM. So this slot you can insert two RAM. For instance, you can get 2 gig of RAM into two. You can get two gig and put the first one into you can put the first one into the first slot and put the second one into the second slot. By the time you check dis settings, dis device specification, you will see 4 gig RAM. If you decide that 2 gig 4 gig is too small for me, you can get 4 gig in two. 4 gig two. If you put the two 4 gig into the two slots on on your laptop, you will have 8 gig. That is how I have 8 gig on my system. The two slot, the first slot, the second slot, I slotted another 4 gig, I have 8 gig of RAM. What these things does is that when you are working and you open Google Chrome, you open WhatsApp, you open um other software like Word, InDesign, Premiere Pro, Photoshop, everything. Those things you open them, dey take their space from this RAM. That's why you have enough RAM and you open a lot of apps, they are going to consume your system will start hanging because the RAM is not enough. And there will be some things you want to do maybe on your graphics creative software, that they will be telling you that you can't render effects because um it is you don't have enough RAM. So you'll be able to perform many things, especially when you're a graphic designer. You'll be able to render some job that is more heavier. So that's it. And with the help of the processor, you will not be having lagging issue when you are working with those things. Because if you don't even have enough processor, there are some apps that will not even open at all. So that's it. So another thing you will consider is the storage. Is the storage. Storage just like a memory card where I will be storing my information, file, images, videos and some other thing. We all we all know that our phone we need storage. Once we don't have once our storage is full, we need to delete some other things like that to get enough space. Then when it come to computer, we have two type of drive to store our information. um we have SSD and we have H SSD which stands for solid state drive, and we have HDD hard disk drive. Hard disk drive. Okay. So why do we have why um what's what's the difference sef? Solid state drive, hard disk drive, what's the difference? Solid state drive is faster. You can see solid state drive and hard disk drive are both data storage device, but dey different in several ways. So you can also check out the difference between the two, but which one will I recommend? You just to be straight, recommend the SSD because it's fast, reliable. When you have SSD on your system will be swift. Not that hard disk is not fast, but it's not as fast as SSD. If you have HDD on your system, if you on your system may take up to 1 or 2 minutes before e can open. But when you have SSD, within 10 seconds your system is on. When you open an application with SSD, a system that is using SSD, the application will open faster than HDD. So although SSD is more expensive than HDD, but the ideal one is the SSD. So that's for the storage. You can get 250 something gigabytes, 500 gigabytes and so on. Depend on the um price in the market. So another thing, I think that's some of the major things you have to look out for. If you are using your system for graphics, try to get graphics card as well, at least 2 gig, 4 gig or more. So those are the major things you have to look. The computer hardware, which is internal computer hardware, you have to look out to when you are getting a system. So if there is still, if you have any question concerning this hard drive aspect, let me know in the comment section. You can send me a direct message. I will find time to answer those questions, and I can also mention it in our um lesson, in our next class, maybe next week. So now let's move on to the software part. Software is the is part of the computer which we cannot which we cannot touch. The hard disk are computer parts which we can see and touch, but the hard software parts we can only see but we can't touch. So now software is a set of instruction data or program used to operate computer and execute specific tasks. So now example of softwares, these are the software. um So these are the softwares we have here. So and so on and so forth. We have many softwares, but it's uncountable. So now these softwares are the one that give instruction to the hardware parts. Take for instance, I have my I have my printer here, which is part of um computer hardware, but which is external. So let me show you something now. So let's use some of computer software we have here. So don't forget, we said software is a set of instructions, data or program used. Let's say we are using this program. Those things are program used to operate computers and execute specific tasks. So now we use this software to give instruction to the hardware part of a computer, to tell the computer what to tell the hardware or hardware part of the computer what to do. Take for instance, I have my printer. I want my printer to print this page I'm looking at. This thing, don't forget, this page I open is I open with computer software, which is which the software is Google Chrome. Google Chrome is part of computer software. So I will use Google Chrome now to tell my computer hardware, which is printer, what to do. So what I have in mind to do is to print this page out as it is. This page, I want to print it out. So I need to tell my printer will not just know what is inside my mind. So my printer will need something that will tell him that do this. So now let me tell my printer to do it. So I will use this software now to tell my printer to print this out. So now I will go to the this icon. I will press on print. It's trying to preview. So now I have the page now. So now I have about three pages here now. So now I want my printer to print just first page. So I will still use this software to tell the printer what to do. If not, the printer will go ahead to print everything. So what I will just do, I will just go to pages. I will select custom, just page one. I will click on one. Since I have more than one printer, I will go to my printer, I will select the one I want, which is Canon. I will click it. Then how many copy do I need? I need just one copy. So do I need it in color? Yes, I want it in color. If I want it in black and white, I will use this software to tell my hardware part that I want this in black and white. I can go on to set to continue to toggle some settings, but in this case I want to use A4. So it's going to preview again. I have it in A4 now. So I can go ahead to change something, but I'm good like this. So I will go ahead to tell my computer hardware that now you can do this job for me. So I will now click on print. So let's wait and see what will now happen to the computer hardware parts. the paper is rough, but you can see that using this software now, we are able to tell our computer hardware parts, which is the external, the computer, the printer, what to do. So that's how it is. So likewise, we can have other external hardware part like our Bluetooth, our speaker. Mhm. When we connect our speaker to our system, we just go to a particular software and give instruction to that computer hardware. So that's so I believe we all understand what is computer and the two components of a computer now, which is hardware and then software. So now there are people that base on the hardware part. Those are the engineer. They don't know much about the software part, then they know much about the hardware part. When your computer has issue, they know they can easily get the hardware part done. Maybe for instance your screen is bad, they can repair your screen and you start your screen will start to display. Your mouse, you can easily get another mouse. I don't think that one is not that expensive. At least you can still get 2,000. You can still get it for 2,000. Your keyboard, those they can easily repair it for you. Even when some things get spoiled on your CPU, they can easily repair it. Those one dey work on the hardware part. So that's why when our computer is not, maybe the Bluetooth is not working fine, we go and give them. Maybe there are some button that is not working, we have to go and give them. Mhm. So those the most the engineers, they are the ones that focus on the hardware part. But we at Beeban'S Media, we don't focus. We don't usually, we are not focused on the hardware part. We focus on the software part. Mhm. So now the software part is why you how you operate it, do some tasks on your computer. So now that's what we are going to, all the our lesson we going to we are going to cover in this our lesson, which is the software part. So what are the software parts we are going to focus on in this lesson? Is the major software we, at least we find ourselves using most, like the internet, the the internet software like Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. Mhm. So but there are some office apps that are essential, that we are supposed to know, like Microsoft Word, Excel. They are so essential, and PowerPoint. But before we jump right into those things, there's something I would like to share with you guys. So now, why do we have laptop and desktop? Laptop, but please can you help me get a laptop here? So why do we have laptop and why do we have desktop? Thank you. This is a laptop. This is a laptop. This is a laptop. And we have desktop. Let me show you on the screen. Now let's look at this diagram. Is there any difference between this and this? The simple answer is no. There's no difference. Laptop can do exactly what desktop will do. But why is there uh, why do we now call this laptop and desktop? Laptop first difference is that laptop desktop we have monitor separate on its own, you have keyboard on its own, you have mouse on its own, and the CPU on its own. So why those things are like this, is not easy to um move around. It's not easy to move around. So how do you want to gather all dis thing one by one? But if you don't forget the screen, you for monitor, you forget the keyboard, or you forget the CPU, anyone, it's not easy to move. So but desktop on the other hand has those four things combined together. So take for instance desktop dis desktop that display dis desktop is just like a screen. It display what we have on the CPU. So it's attached to this already. You can see this is the screen. You see this, let me enlarge this image. So now this keyboard, we have it on this space here, we have it. The mouse, we have the mouse here. This CPU is the one below this keyboard. So we have everything combined together. So the difference between laptop and desktop is the laptop is easy to move. You can easily put it in your bag and take it home, or take it back to your office and use it whatever you want to use it, maybe in school and anywhere. But the desktop is not easy to move. So it's very simple. Desktop, we always leave it on our desk, just cover it in case of dust. But laptop, we can easily put it on our lap and do whatever things we want to do. So that's the difference between laptop and desktop. And mind you, I'm talking about some of the computer hardware then. So now the advantage, everything has advantage and disadvantage. The advantage of laptop is that it's easy to move. You can put it inside your bag and take it to whatever you want to take it, but it's not that easy to move desktop. It's not always easy unless you want to relocate. But that you want to go to somewhere you easily put it. No, it's not that easy. But there's advantage that desktop have that laptop did not have. Take for instance, when I discuss about computer RAM. So I discussed that. Well, yeah, let me handle the. I discussed that you have slots. So now we have in when you use the desktop, you have four slots. You have four slots. But on the laptop, you only have two slots. So now let's say you want to upgrade your RAM on the laptop, you can only have two slots. Or let's say I want to upgrade my system to 8 gig RAM, I can get 2 gig into four. So 2 times 4 is 8. So I because I have four slots, I can easily insert those things inside. But the laptop, I only have two slots. So if I have 2 gig, four, there's no way I can inserted all the four RAM into the laptop. I can only insert two. So that's that's another disadvantage of laptop, because it's not that easy. Let's say you don't have 4 gig too now that you can easily upgrade to 8 gig. You have 2 gig. There's no way you can insert all this thing into the two slots. So that is so This is what I'm just saying now. So you can easily, this person is inserting the RAM into a computer now. So this is how computer desktop RAM looks like. So let me show you how laptop RAM look like. So now look at the RAM. So this is the desktop RAM. This is how it look like in case you don't see it before. This is laptop. This is how the laptop RAM looks like. It's smaller than the desktop RAM. So this RAM, we also have it on our system. When you say how many gig RAM, 4 gig RAM, 8 gig RAM. One thing about the bad thing about the RAM on our phone is that it cannot be upgraded. If we get a phone today and the phone uh, came with maybe 4 gig RAM, I don't think there is a way you can upgrade it. So if you buy a phone of 2 gig RAM, there's no way, but on computer you can easily upgrade it. Your system, your laptop can come with 4 gig RAM, and you remove the 2 gig RAM and get 4 gig RAM too, and put the 4 gig RAM. At the end of the day, you have 8 gig RAM. So this is how the RAM looks like. This is how the RAMs look like. So now that's it. So I think we have covered uh, major part of computer hardware. Mhm. So if there's anything you would still like to know on this aspect, you can send a message on our. You can send us message maybe on this YouTube platform, or you can use our WhatsApp. You can send us a message on WhatsApp. Thank you very much. So we will jump in more depth into the software part, but you can also make more research on this before we jump right to it. So while we start on the system, we are going to introduce to the interface. So let's take note that our system, there's nothing special. There's nothing special in computer. There's nothing special. Since we are using uh, maybe a device like phone, we're also using a computer. We're also using a computer. So we just we just need to familiarize ourselves with those things. Like take for instance now, there are some things when we start using our phone, maybe like Facebook, we don't really know much about it. But as we use Facebook more often, as we use it always, we familiarize ourselves with the interface and some things on the on it, and we are able to use this program very efficient. So same things apply to our system. So it's just like phone, just like just that the system can perform much things than the cellular, than the device, than the phone. So that's what we have. So in this lesson will also help us very well to know more about computer. That if we are willing to learn computer to really help us, because I'll be sharing my screen, you'll be seeing everything. So, and I will use this opportunity to tell the student that you try get a laptop or a system for practical purpose, because it's always good when we are learning and we also practice as well. we also practice. As Beeban'S Media, we are here to help you. So when it comes to learning computer, so because at Beeban'S, what we do, we involve using computer because we deal with design and printing. So what we believe that is what we design or the artwork we have is what we print. So we use some of the creative software to design our design and we print. Mhm. So some of the things we print here is we print banner, flyers, uh, we print on shirts, we do document printing, ID card, jotter, poster, and so on like that. So we also design those things using the system, using the computer softwares. I mean the creative softwares like InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, etc. So we believe that people can also design on their own too. If they familiarize themselves with those computer software. And even though they can't go to that extent to design, there are some basic things they should be able to do. Take for instance, a customer will come here and spend almost 1,500 or 2,000 just to type. If you have a computer at home or a laptop, small mini laptop, you can easily do this typing and just send it to us to print. It will not even cost you much. It will reduce the cost because to print black and white documents is 100 naira, but to type a page of that document will cost you 500. So if you want to type and print now, it will be costing you about six, just a page, even half a page will be costing you up to 600, something that if you just type it on your system and send to us, you just print it 100 naira. So likewise design as well. So that's why there are some there are some tasks you want to do. A customer you want to collect a job, customer will tell you go and bring quotation. So it's a thing you can just do on your system using Microsoft Excel or Word. Just simple quotation, you will just do it and send it to them, maybe as PDF. But because you are not, you don't know this thing. You may even have computer, but because you can't use those software, you won't be able to do it. You consider the stress and the money you are still going to spend again. But if you have these skills, it will really help you. Not that it will only save you money and it will improve your knowledge in computer because the world we are living now is computer world. So good news, you don't have to be a graduate or go to top university before you can learn computer. No, in this way we can learn computer. That's why if there's anything we don't really understand, you can also ask us question. This video will also be recorded, so you can still go back on this video to watch. Like I said earlier, we started this thing. We don't expect it to be perfect. Like as you can see now, the screen is somehow black, not like the professional video we used to watch on YouTube on other social media platforms. But this is just the beginning. We just need to start. When we start, we keep on improving. So if there's any way you think we can also improve, please let us know. As we are going, as we continue this lesson, we are going to improve. This section we are having now will last for 6 months. So we are still going to start another one. Yeah, we believe that one in that time we will improve than this. Thank you, everyone that that attend this class, whether in your house or at work or anywhere, that find time to join the class. So, like I said earlier, we are very sorry for what happened yesterday. We are also sorry for what happened yesterday. We have some technical issue that didn't let us to start the training like we promised. But we thank God that we are able to start, even though it's not that perfect, at least we are able to start. That's just the most important thing. If we wait that we want to get everything perfect before we start, we will not start. But when as we have started now, we will continue to improve. And the audience can also tell us in any aspect we can also improve. So thank you very much. I really appreciate. So our lesson now is about to round up our lesson. So in coming week, we are going to get in depth on those software. So I've mentioned it before. We are starting with Word and Excel and PowerPoint to cover this because those are some essential computer software that someone should familiarize themselves with and know how to use. Even though you don't need to know the advanced aspect, at least the basic aspects. If you know, when you know the basic aspects, you can do one or two things. Okay. So when you know the basic side, you will continue to improve to the advanced level. You can also do that on your own when you watch other video that can also help online. So thank you everyone for attending the class. We really appreciate. So this is how we are going to end our class for today. See you. Bye bye.